Nitish Kumar will be resigning and then handing over simultaneously perhaps letters of support that would be given by Tejasvi Yadav of RJD. With Nitish Kumar walking out of alliance, this time with the alliance partner of several years, he's walked out of NDA and has now stepped inside the Raj Bhavan to give that letter of support to the governor of Bihar. This is Nitish Kumar playing his last inning, and he understands that this is about relevance, that the only place that he can seek relevance and become relevant as a politician is in the opposition space. Coming to you live from epicenter Patna, right in front of the governor's home. It's here that entire event has played out over the day, and it's here that Tejasvi Yadav and Nitish Kumar will be sworn in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Bihar has witnessed a political thriller, all centered around one man, Nitish Kumar, the man who came to power in Bihar in 2005, and in all these years his alliance partners may have changed, but Nitish has continued to be the chief minister. What does these multiple U-turns mean for Nitish Kumar, his brand? What does it mean for the state of Bihar? I will be trying and decoding all of it in the next 1 hour, but let me do a quick recap of what has happened. Nitish Kumar has done it again. This was almost a repeat of 2017. The only difference was that Nitish Kumar in 2017 dumped the RJD to join hands with the NDA. Remember, in 2020 assembly elections, the BJP became the big brother in this alliance, storming ahead of the JDU, which set the groundwork for another split. Nitish Kumar has accused the BJP of trying to weaken his clout and sideline him in the NDA and the political arena of Bihar. He has accused the BJP of using Chirag Paswan's LJP to cut his votes in the elections of 2020. The bad blood, in fact, escalated when the BJP dominated cabinet formation and clinched the posts of 2 deputy chief ministers and also the speaker. The JDU also got just 1 cabinet berth at the center. Now Nitish Kumar is at the helm of a 7-party alliance with over 160 MLAs. But he is once again the junior partner, this time to RJD. The BJP has said that Tejasvi Yadav has actually been placed in the driver's seat, and this is quite true now. This will be Nitish Kumar's 3rd switch in under 10 years between 2 ideologically opposite camps. Is this a hit or a miss? What does this do to its already battered image and weakened political clout as the Shasan Babu of Bihar? Before I get the guests and the newsmakers on this special edition, here's how the drama unfolded today.
Nitish Kumar has dumped the BJP again and joined hands with the RJD again. Nitish Kumar met the governor, submitted his resignation, and then went straight to the house of his new ally, Tejasvi Yadav. Then Nitish Kumar returned to Raj Bhavan, this time accompanied by Tejasvi, and they staked claim to form the government.
7 पार्टियों का और एक इंडिपेंडेंट सभी लोगों का दस्तखत भी दे दिया गया है और बातचीत भी इतने दिल से हो रही थी कि अब एक साथ हम लोग हैं, अभी हो जाए तो इसी के लिए हमने बना दिया।
The JDU-BJP breakup had been building up. Nitish Kumar was convinced that the BJP was trying to instigate a revolt in his party, along the lines of what happened with the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. He met his MLAs today and accused the BJP of conspiring against the JDU to weaken the party.
जीते गए नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नाम पर और आज आपने बिहार के मैंडेट का अपमान किया है, ये कौन सी बात है?
The RJD, which is the single largest party in Bihar, also met today to discuss the evolving political situation. Till 2017, Tejasvi Yadav and his brother Tej Pratap were ministers in Nitish Kumar's government, which also included Congress as part of the alliance. But Nitish accused the brothers of corruption, exited the Mahagathbandhan and returned to the BJP.
अरे भाई हम लोग चाचा भतीजा लोग हैं, लड़े भी हैं, आरोप भी लगाए हैं, लेकिन हम लोग तो समाजवादी लोग हैं ना, तो हमारी जो पुरखों की विरासत है वो कोई और ले जाएगा क्या?
But as his friction with the BJP kept increasing, Nitish warmed up to Tejasvi again. In May, Nitish Kumar walked to Tejasvi Yadav's house to attend an iftar party. In July, when Tejasvi's father and RJD patriarch Lalu Prasad Yadav developed serious health complications and had to be flown to Delhi, Nitish Kumar personally supervised all arrangements for his travel. But what explains the timing of this turnaround? Is Nitish Kumar once again trying to reposition himself for national politics with the 2024 Lok Sabha elections in mind?
He would want to be presented as the Prime Minister candidate from the opposition side in 2024.
If this new alliance does well, Nitish could emerge as a nucleus of the opposition, which is desperate for credible faces. But can his gamble pay off?
Who is the biggest winner in this new alliance that has been staged? Remember, Bihar did not see any resort politics. Neither did we see any kind of horse trading or MLAs being shipped to another state. All that did not happen in Bihar. In full public view, Nitish Kumar walked out of NDA, staged alliance with Tejasvi Yadav. The moment he exited Raj Bhavan, he gave a sound bite saying he has resigned, went straight to Rabri Devi's home at Circular Road, and then we saw the entire transition happen. Nitish Tejasvi entering Raj Bhavan again, this time with a letter of support of 160 plus MLAs. So what does it mean for brand Nitish Kumar? What does it mean for Tejasvi Yadav? And of course, what about Nitish Kumar's former ally, BJP, and the larger question of the state? Let me bring in my guests now. Pawan Verma, TMC leader now, although he knows Nitish Kumar pretty well. Guru Prakash Paswan, national spokesperson of the BJP. Gurdeep Sappal, national spokesperson of the Congress. Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist. Khalid Anwar, JDU MLC. Manisha Priyam, political analyst. Chandrachud Singh, political analyst. Manisha Priyam, as someone who has tracked the twists and turns of Bihar politics very closely, what are your thoughts on today?
So this has been very, very crisp. Let me begin with the last minutes of what we saw today. A very crisp and a very firm communication sent to the governor of Bihar by the chief minister, the erstwhile chief minister now, Mr. Nitish Kumar. And that communication says, I now resign. Now, quite a surprise, because here was this chief minister who, with all his differences, one would hear of these differences for a long time now, he had voted with the NDA in favor of Draupadi Murmu. He did not take the bait. The joint opposition candidate, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, was not someone he voted for. So he kept himself away from any of the formulations of a so-called combined opposition. Here he was focused completely. I would say today that as a politician, I would see him as somebody who's focused completely on the goal, the Arjun's eye as it is called, and which was that he wanted to walk out of the BJP and wanted to time it well. These discomfitures were evident very much at the time of the poll. I have said in many channels, and yours too, that the doing in of Nitish Kumar, the 44 odd seats that he got, he felt that it was the BJP that had done him in. He felt that Chirag Paswan had been a Trojan horse. So these uncomfortable issues remained. And when the government came, the coming in of Tarkishore Prasad to replace a very comfortable relationship, Mr. Sushil Modi, that meant that in the elections and in governance thereafter, it was not the same coalition that he was leading. Thereafter, you could see the BJP workers were very, very restive. They felt that they were better off going on their own. The BJP does today feel that it does not want to take care of the anti-incumbency of the Nitish Kumar rule. So the BJP also justified there. And when Mr. Amit Shah and JP Nadda have visited Bihar this time, I think much to the comfort of their cadres, they made this announcement that they would perhaps fight 200 seats on their own. And you found that on the streets, the JDU workers were willing to oppose the visit of JP Nadda to a university that he's belonged to. His father's taught there. So I think the script was written all over the place, but Nitish Kumar timed it very well. And what I would give him credit for is the fact that this is a government in which he's worked out the last detail, the 4 numbers that have come from the hum and the independent. All of this worked out without, as you said, no resort politics, nothing going on about MLAs making statements anywhere. Although the JDU is not such a cadre-based party, you saw that the flock stayed together. You also saw that the RJD flock stayed together. Last but not the least, nobody's talking about the left. It's very, very important to see that the left had been keenly watching the situation. Absolutely. No statements coming from them as of now. They are the ones who fought that election without too many resources, without the backing of any of these large alliance partners, and they've been quietly watching this space. So I would say, yes, Nitish Kumar has survived for now, gone to the other side, but he's made a political opportunity for himself. Let's see what the script is now. As far as the BJP is concerned, they've also got what they wanted. They can go it all alone and test the waters. They are not scared of fighting direct elections.
So is it a win-win situation for everyone? Is it a win-win situation for everyone, Nirja Chaudhary? Let's not forget that there is an emergence of an assertive Tejasvi Yadav, which will be visible, if anything, in that impromptu press conference that happened right here in front of the barricades of one NMR. It was Tejasvi who took that lead, kept on saying Mukhyamantri ji, so showing that respect, ensuring that Nitish Kumar doesn't feel any kind of jitters here. But when we look at While we look at Nitish Kumar, conveniently walking out of one alliance, stitching another alliance, what does it mean for Tejasvi Yadav? This is not the same Tejasvi of 2015.
No, absolutely right. That press conference showed how much Tejasvi Yadav has actually evolved, following in the footsteps of his father. He gave an ideological spin to the whole move today. I mean, he talked about Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb, giving another spin to the whole concept of secularism. He talked about Samvidhan and democracy. He talked about socialism. He talked about caste. He talked about, all those things that make the base of the both the parties, Janata Dal U as well as the RJD. So I thought it was a very good performance and yet deferential to Nitish Kumar. The reason why Nitish Kumar is going to be 8-time chief minister is because of the timely alliances he's made over the decades. We can fault him for, flip-flopping ideologically, but he's made them very cleverly, and he has been the smaller party, not the larger party, whether it was RJD or whether it was BJP, and yet compelled them to make him chief minister. But the reason why he's moving...
All the sides... Yes, go ahead, Nija.
And he wanted to retain Bihar. National role comes later, but if Bihar goes out of his hands, there is going to be no national role. So, obviously, a larger package has been... Tejasvi may take over as chief minister in 2023. He may be projected, Nitish may be projected as the prime ministerial face of the opposition. That still has to be worked out, whether the entire opposition will go with it. And
okay,
today...
Let me take that question straight to Gurdeep Sappal of the Congress party. Gurdeep Sappal, the fact is that there is evident trust deficit. The question is, the RJD has decided to trust Nitish Kumar, and given the kind of equation that Sonia Gandhi and Lalu Yadav have, perhaps it's Lalu Yadav who convinced Mrs. Gandhi that this is the way forward as far as Bihar politics is concerned. But Nitish Kumar today and his party, Upendra Kushwaha, who is the state JDU president, have revealed Nitish Kumar's national ambition, that he is looking at 2024 in a different role. Will the Congress cede that space?
Maria, this is very interesting the way you have put up the question, because it talks more about something which can be conjured up in future but doesn't talk about present. I don't know from where you got this information that Laluji and there was a conversation. No. Here, Congress Party's line is very clear. We are against the politics of Bharatiya Janata Party. We are against the way Bharatiya Janata Party is dividing the Indian society, is tearing away the fabric of the society of India, the way it is demolishing the institutions. And whenever there's a chance that Bharatiya Janata Party can be, government can be changed in a state, we'll support them. Tejasvi Yadav and Congress Party, RJD, Congress Party are already in alliances Bihar, and we are strongly backing any change in Bihar. About 2024, I think that's too far. Today we should be talking about why this change was necessary. Today we should be talking about what this government is going to do in next 2 years to set up an example, how the institutions can be honored, how the communalism poison which has been spread by BJP can be tackled in this country, or at least in the state of Bihar. That is the question that we should be talking about today. 24 will come. 24 will come. It's a wrong impression that...
the reason why I asked you that question was because the formula that has been worked out between Nitish Kumar and Tejasvi Yadav is the fact that he has agreed to return as the Deputy Chief Minister or a deputy to Nitish Kumar because he is looking at 2025. And he has been told that by 2024, Nitish Kumar looks at the larger national role, and as Upendra Kushwaha famously tweeted, कि देश को उनके नेतृत्व की जरूरत है, and Tejasvi will be looking at the state of Bihar. That is the reason why I asked you that question. And let me bring in my next guest, and that is Guru Paswan of the BJP. Guru, all of you kept anticipating. You were waiting for Nitish Kumar to make his move. He made it, and he ensured that the entire alliance transition is smooth. Didn't you see this coming?
Maria, when you started the debate, you asked a very fundamental question, that who is the biggest winner of this entire controversy, of this entire episode, whatever you call it. If you take it from the counterpoint of view, who is the biggest loser? The biggest loser is more than 12 crore people of Bihar. बिहार के 12 करोड़ लोगों के साथ धोखा हुआ है. It is not only the breach of trust, it is betrayal of the mandate. You look at the 2020 assembly election. You were here in Bihar. You followed it very closely. BJP won 74 out of 110 contested. JDU won 43 out of 100 contested. RJD won, but RJD also contested on a larger number of seats. So this is a clear-cut betrayal of not only the trust of the people of Bihar, but also the mandate that was given to the government, which was led by BJP and JDU, the NDA government in Bihar, which was in power for the last 15 years. Second point, which you must realize, that the politics is changing. Why are we still stuck?
I would have taken that logic of betrayal. Had it in 2017, you would not have agreed to that alliance with Nitish Kumar. Because in 2017, when Nitish Kumar walked out of alliance from Mahagathbandhan, he was betraying the mandate of people, which was of RJD, JDU combined. So what was right then? How is it wrong now? If anything, you should be complaining to Nitish Kumar rather than saying betrayal, because betrayal, if that was acceptable, it is essentially returning to you again.
No, Maria, we must understand one thing. When I say betrayal, I am giving you the arithmetic behind it. What is the arithmetic behind it? If a party is winning 74 out of 110, what is the strike rate? If you do a comparative analysis, you would come to know. But many congratulations to Mr. Nitish Kumar. He will be joining the very coveted club of Prakash Singh Badal, Chandrababu Naidu and Shiv Sena Pramukh Uddhav Thackeray. They have become irrelevant. Today was the final nail in the coffin of Janata Dal United. Take it from me in writing. Nitish Kumar and Janata Dal United will be decimated. No one is going to remember Nitish Kumar or Janata Dal United. The future generation will forget them. In 2024, you will see 40 out of 40 BJP will win, and more than 400 seats nationally BJP is going to win.
उनका कहना है आप आज के बाद से irrelevant हो गए क्योंकि आपने भाजपा को छोड़ दिया.
नहीं, ये गुरु पासवान जी जो बात कह रहे हैं, दरअसल पूरी हमारी पार्टी जनता दल यूनाइटेड वाज इन डेंजरस और बुनियादी तौर पे बिहार के 12 करोड़ लोग जो है ना बहुत ज्यादा खतरे में थे, क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने ये तय कर लिया था कि जनता दल यूनाइटेड को भी शिवसेना बना देना है और हमारे लीडरों के साथ, हमारे एमएलए के साथ तरह तरह के, और आपने देखा होगा आरसीपी सिंह जी को लेकर के इन लोगों ने पूरी कोशिश की थी। और यहाँ तक के गुरु पासवान भी जानते हैं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के
एकनाथ शिंदे की तलाश में थी जेडीयू के अंदर।
जी, और इन्होंने इनके राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष ने बिहार में आकर के यहाँ तक बोल दिया कि रीजनल पार्टियों का एग्जिस्टेंस खत्म हो जाएगा। तो ऐसी हालत में आपके पॉलिटिकल लीडर हैं इस तरह की बात करें और जनता दल यूनाइटेड को खत्म करने की कोशिश करें, बिहार में अराजकता फैलाने की कोशिश करें इनके कुछ लोकल लीडर्स, तो ये मुमकिन नहीं था। और जहां तक बात है देखिए धोखा देने की, भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने चिराग मॉडल ला करके हमको 2020 के इलेक्शन में ही ये बता दिया था कि दिल से नहीं है, हम आपके साथ सिर्फ दिखाने के लिए हैं।
You know, Guru, this is the charge that has been leveled against the BJP by your other allies as well. Shiv Sena, one of your oldest allies, went ahead and created Mahavikas Aghadi, then there was a revenge on them. You did the same with Nitish Kumar, you tried to weaken him. That is what Nitish Kumar said, that the BJP was trying to weaken the JDU, BJP was trying to break the JDU. What is this kind of alliance that the BJP forges or stitches together when you almost try and weaken your alliance partner?
Maria, a lot of people are having a field day today. If any one political party that can be attributed to bring this entire idea of Gathbandhan in Indian politics, it is the Bharatiya Janata Party. Have you forgotten Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government? 22 political parties for political stability, for the constitutional idea of political stability, we have formed alliances. Why are we forgetting the fact कि अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी के वजह से नीतीश कुमार जी पहली बार मुख्यमंत्री बने थे, नरेंद्र मोदी जी के वजह से नीतीश कुमार जी इस बार मुख्यमंत्री बने थे? How can you run from this very fundamental fact which I don't understand? I was listening to Khalid भाई बहुत ही सीनियर नेता है और हम सब उनका बहुत सम्मान करते हैं, लेकिन बिहार की जनता, देश की जनता नीतीश कुमार जी की इस अवसरवादिता को न कभी बोलेगी न कभी माफ करेगी।
An exclusive newsmaker joining us now, Ravi Shankar Prasad, former law minister and member of parliament of the BJP, is live with me from Patna. Mr. Prasad, really appreciate your time. Sir, you have been in Bihar very active over the last few months. Didn't you see this coming, that Nitish Kumar would be walking out of the BJP given the kind of evident discomfort that he had, publicly voiced?
I will ask you a simple counter question. Hardly a week ago, when Amit Shah ji, the Honorable Home Minister, and Nadda ji, Honorable the President, were present, there was a clear communication on behalf of the party from the highest level, the General Secretary, that 24 elections will be fought Lok Sabha under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji and 25 Vidhan Sabha under leadership of Nitish Kumar ji. What more did he want? Was it clearly conveyed in unmistakable terms or not? Hardly a month ago, the Prime Minister had come to Patna in the Vidhan Sabha centenary celebrations. He was with him, smiling, talking. He could have conveyed. The Prime Minister and the Bihar CM talk quite frequently. Modi ji appreciates him, has publicly said he is in the company of Ram Manohar Lohia, late George Fernandez, because of his integrity. Then what happened? You won Bihar in 2019 Lok Sabha. You were there in Bihar covering that election. You got only 2 seats in 2014. When you came to us because of Narendra Modi, your party also got the mandate. And you're also covering the 2020 Vidhan Sabha elections. I remember you were here. In the first phase, NDA was Saf from Phulwari Sharif till UP border, except 2-3 seats. And when Narendra Modi starts campaigning very heavily, Jangal Raj ke do Yuvraj, you know how Bihar changed and NDA came to a comfortable majority. But see, Narendra Modi ji publicly declared in the victory celebration, the BJP office in Delhi, that Nitish Kumar will be the chief minister. He could have said, sorry, I have got less number of seats. You have a problem about Mr. Ramchandra Sinha. Then why do you have to wait for 1 year? You could have said on the 7th July, sorry, you have become minister without my consent. Get lost. No. You publicly appreciate his induction by passing a resolution in the JDU Vidhan Sabha. But the larger issue, Maria, is again I'm repeating on your channel for your viewers. Why did you leave Lalu ji and Tejasvi in 2017? Go back to your footage of that period. He said, sorry, a lot of uncomfortable questions of corruption. In case of railway bharti scam, land for appointment, a sale of a railway property in Ranchi, and a mall in Patna is coming, and Deputy CM needs to give a reply. He said, sorry, I'll talk to my lawyer. Then you walked out. Now what happened now? You are going with him? Therefore, Nitish Kumar has completely compromised the credentials.
While he addressed his party MLAs, Nitish Kumar, Mr.
Hello.
Prasad actually said that the BJP was trying to weaken JDU, that the BJP was trying to break JDU. That is what he communicated to his MLAs. That he said that JDU was on the verge of some kind of larger conspiracy that the BJP was looking at. The question is, did the BJP fail to convince Nitish Kumar that what happened in 2020, particularly the role of Chirag Paswan, in which Chirag Paswan only fielded LJP candidates on those seats which were being contested by JDU. He constantly said that he is Hanuman of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He emerged as the B team of BJP. Nitish was convinced about it. Did the BJP communicate effectively with Nitish Kumar, try and ensure that he gets that confidence that they were not trying to damage JDU?
After all, he has a talk with Amit Shah. He has a detailed talk with JP Nadda when he came to. He has been talking to us. Very good relationship. The Prime Minister has great regard for him, great appreciation for him. Let me tell you on record. He was meeting the Prime Minister in Delhi also. They could have conveyed, I'm feeling uncomfortable. And let me tell you, when JDU under his leadership, for a variety of reasons including fatigue factor, was the lowest ebb at 43 in 2020, who made him the Chief Minister? He could have said, sorry, I will not become. Therefore, all this, we don't do the breakup thing, sorry. Nitish Kumar is not with us from today, Maria. He is there with us from the mid-90s when we were fighting the fodder scam case. I was a lawyer and leading to CBI inquiry. Sushil Modi was the petitioner. His people also became petitioner thereafter. Then he walked out on Lalu Prasad, came with us. In 2005, let me remind you, we all decided, late Pramod Mahajan, late Sushma Swaraj, late Arun Jaitley, sitting in Patna in campaigning. You may recall from your old diary that we decided that Bhuta Singh had dissolved the Bihar Assembly. Unless we have a face, it will be difficult to defeat Lalu Prasad. And Advani ji and Atal ji agreed. And late George Fernandes was not comfortable, and late Digvijay Singh of the JDU of Banka. Yet we made him. And the JDU-BJP alliance did a good job in Bihar in 10 years. मोदी जी आए तो कहे हम चले जाएंगे बाहर, आप चले गए, सिर्फ 2 सीट आई लोकसभा में, फिर लालू जी के साथ चले गए, फिर करप्शन के नाम पर छोड़ दिया, आज 2 साल बाद फिर चले क्या?
One point of difference which perhaps played out also, which has been highlighted by one point that is being talked about, sir, in terms of differences between the BJP and JDU was also the role of the present Assembly Speaker, who is from the BJP. He was seen as openly taking on the Chief Minister. There was spat that happened in Bihar Assembly. Nitish Kumar and the JDU started saying that his aggression was almost like sanctioned by the central leadership of the BJP. So this conspiracy that Lalan Singh spoke about, which Nitish Kumar in fact told his MLAs during that legislature party meet, Mr. Prasad, is being talked about, that he apparently has some evidence of conspiracy by the BJP.
My reply is very simple and straight. I don't want to comment upon the speaker. But if there was one issue, I remember that it was ultimately it came to a constructive end or not, with both parties agreeing. Let me assume for the sake of argument. देखिए मोहतरमा मारिया शकील, अगर जाना है तो जाने के 10 बहाने हैं, जब आना है तो आने के 10 बहाने हैं, और जब सीएम की कुर्सी पर बैठना है तो उसके भी 10 बहाने हैं. तो इसका हम क्या जवाब दे भाई? तो should I presume that the entire fight against corruption stands compromised upon a particular irritation of the Speaker of Vidhan Sabha? Has it come to this? That Nitish Kumar's entire plank against corruption, which led him to terminate his relationship with Tejasvi and Lalu Prasad in 2017, now stands nullified? अगर ये उनकी सियासत है तो उस पर मुझे क्या कहना है?
भाजपा की अब क्या सियासत होगी सर? भाजपा अब क्या करेगी? आप लोग इंतजार कर रहे थे कि नीतीश कुमार अपना फर्स्ट मूव कर ले.
पहले मैं एक बात आपको बड़े अदब से बता दूं. अभी एक हफ्ता पहले माननीय अमित शाह जी और माननीय नड्डा जी की उपस्थिति में भाजपा के द्वारा अधिकृत रूप में अरुण सिंह के द्वारा ये कहा गया कि नहीं कहा गया, 24 में एनडीए लोकसभा मोदी जी की अगुवाई में और 25 में बिहार विधानसभा नीतीश जी की अगुवाई में लड़ेगा. ये कहा गया कि नहीं कहा गया? तो ये सारी बातें गौण हो गई. और स्पीकर साहब का कोई टिफ हुआ वो बड़ा विषय हो गया. देखिए फिर कहूंगा, our relationship of 20 years plus is not so slippery as to fall upon these so-called irritants which are just false alibis. क्या मामला है? Why Nitish Kumar by doing this has forced the regression of Bihar again into chaos, into utter lawlessness, into stamping corruption, overpowering fear. Come to Bihar and see the reaction of the people. They will give a big reply in 24 Lok Sabha and also in the 25 Vidhan Sabha.
Mr. Prasad, what next for the BJP? So far, you were being cautious in ensuring that your alliance partner, who was the face of this alliance, that Nitish Kumar, doesn't get antagonized, that there's no agony that happens, he's comfortable. Now that he has walked out of this alliance, will the BJP be going all out, because you will now be occupying the opposition space in the state?
Surely, why not? जनता ने हमें 73-74 सीट क्यों जिताई थी, मुझे बताइए. 14 में 40 में से 38 लोकसभा क्यों जिताई थी, हमें बताइए. और 19 में बीजेपी और हमने अपनी सीटें छोड़ी थी नीतीश जी को अकोमोडेट करने के लिए. याद है ना आपको? जहां 2 थे वहां 16 जीते कि नहीं जीते, और हम लोग 17 जीते कि नहीं जीते, मुझे बताइए आप. तो प्रदेश की जनता नरेंद्र मोदी के नाम पर वोट देती है और देगी, और हम बिहार का विकास करेंगे और डबल इंजन सरकार बना के बिहार में दिखाएंगे भाजपा की. आप बिल्कुल निश्चिंत रहें.
सर, ये सवाल उठेगा क्योंकि आप और नीतीश जी के भी अच्छे संबंध हैं कि क्या आप लोग को जब ये संकेत मिल रहे थे, when indications were coming from Nitish that he is unhappy, that he is restless, were efforts made by senior leaders of the BJP to ensure that he remains in the alliance?
अब मैं फिर आपसे कहूंगा, बातचीत होती है ना. नीतीश जी को हम लोग जानते हैं जेपी मूवमेंट के डेज से ना, जानते हैं उनको. मोदी जी उनकी तारीफ करते हैं कि नहीं करते हैं, बात करते हैं कि नहीं करते हैं. तो फिर तो यही तो हमारे मन में सवाल है कि ऐसा क्या हो गया. या तो हम कहेंगे कि हमने डिक्लेयर किया कि आपको पीएम भी बनाएंगे, सीएम बनाएंगे और मोदी जी पीएम रहेंगे, मतलब 25 का 29 तक अलायंस चलेगा, तो पहले ही खिचड़ी पक रही थी. और हमारे पास इसके सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस हैं. अभी भोला राय जो रेलवे भर्ती स्कैम के राजदार थे, उनकी गिरफ्तारी हुई, कुछ जवाब आया नीतीश कुमार का? आप मुझे बता दीजिए. जिस पूरे मामले को उठाने में ललन सिंह भी काफी सक्रिय थे सुशील मोदी के साथ, हम लोग के साथ. ये क्या मतलब है इसका? यही तो बात मैं कह रहा हूं. जाना है तो जाने के कई बहाने हैं ना. And I think the Prime Minister and Nitish Kumar ji had very good personal equation. The BJP leadership and he had good equation. तो कुछ बात थी तो बात कर लेते, अगर बात थी तो ठीक कर लेते. तो आपने जाने का मन बना लिया, और जाने का मन बना लिया और फिर उसके बाद बहाने ढूंढने शुरू किए. तो अगर उनके पार्टी में कौन मंत्री नहीं बना, क्यों बना, इसके कारण Maria Shakil, go and ask all the MPs of JDU today. How are they feeling jittery? Including the MLAs. They know how they have won. And in whose name they have won. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Prasad, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is when the senior leaders of the BJP will be meeting at the BJP office here in Patna. There will be meeting also in which MLAs, MLCs have been told to be present. Let me go back to the panelists and take that question to Chandrachud Singh. I appreciate your patience, Mr. Singh. You heard from top BJP leader, Mr. Prasad, on the show. Of course, the BJP is saying betrayal. Could Nitish have made to ensure that this alliance continues? Or do you think that Nitish had made up his mind to exit and he was looking only for reasons, perhaps?
Maria, just allow me 2 minutes because I'll need 2 seconds to elaborate on it. See, I mean, what you're seeing is the antics. What you're seeing is what played on and what we are basically trying to reflect on what happened and how it happened. But I think there's a larger sociological angle, a psychological angle attached to it. See, Bihar, the politics in Bihar is fed on caste, and that cannot be ignored. Now, both Nitish Kumar, despite his claim of being a Susashan Babu, was slipping down that angle, particularly in the last few years. And, both Lalu Yadav's party and Nitish Kumar's party are basically, parties which feed on the same OBC, minority, lower OBC, Mahadalit vote, and both of them had carved out particular sections for themselves. Now, what the BJP brought to the table was developmentalism, nationalism, religiosity, and that combination became a very formidable combination. Now, why did the BJP allow Nitish Kumar to go on to become the chief minister? Was primarily because this was also a work in process, because it also allowed the BJP to get into the caste configuration, get into the caste equation. And I think the BJP now feels, I mean, if you look to the language and the confidence with which the former minister was speaking, or my co-panelist Guru Prakash ji is speaking, they know that their project is in process and perhaps in the right direction. And I think Nitish Kumar also sensed it quite early. So perhaps that is the reason why the two came to a point from where there was no return, and this was bound to happen. It's not just about solution. It's not about some minister getting in or not getting in. It's primarily the contradiction which plays out because of the
sociological. Was this bound to happen? Let me take that question to Pawan Verma. Pawan Verma, you are one of those very few leaders in India today who understand Nitish Kumar's mind. Was this bound to happen? It was almost certain that Nitish Kumar would walk out of this alliance?
I think the BJP did all that it could to have this Gathbandhan broken. I can say to you with as much knowledge and honesty that I have, that even in 2017, after Nitish Kumar had joined the hands with the BJP to form a government, he was uncomfortable with some of the policies of the BJP, in particular its attempt to create social disharmony by the use of religion, which we otherwise call communalism. In this case, they began to treat Mr. Nitish Kumar as an optional accessory to the BJP's march to power in Bihar. And their attempts to cut him down to size were transparently Machiavellian. I mean, the use of Chirag Paswan in the 2020 elections on the behest of the BJP to put up candidates against JDU candidates in order to ensure that Nitish Kumar is the junior partner in this alliance in a very demonstrative way and is therefore more dependent on the BJP's dominance was apparent, and Nitish ji was fully aware of it.
Okay, before I bring in Guru, since he wants to come in, I want to also understand from you, Pavan Verma, that you're talking about this communal angle to it. My question is that when Bihar witnessed elections in 2020, Nitish Kumar and BJP fought jointly. It was a mandate for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nitish Kumar. It was a joint mandate. Then didn't he really make it about opportunism and convenience, and then all of a sudden he realizes that there is some kind of conscience that he must awaken, and then he walked out of this alliance? I mean, today the questions will be asked because of the number of U-turns that Nitish Kumar has done. What does he really stand for? What is Nitish Kumar's politics? What does he believe in?
I think he stands for a tall secular leader. When I say secular, I don't mean it in the sense that he has a basic antipathy to the policies of the BJP, and I assume that he presumed that with him as chief minister, perhaps these tendencies would be kept in check, but he was closely observing what is happening not only in Bihar, but nationally. And as far as opportunism goes, Maria, the BJP had heaped abuses on Nitish Kumar when Nitish Kumar was opposing the BJP led by Narendra Modi. But they joined hands with him. It's my gut feeling that he was never very comfortable with it, especially since the BJP, in its overweening ambition to come to power in Bihar on its own, was almost on a daily basis humiliating the chief minister and putting obstructions in his governance agenda, which beyond a point Nitish ji could not take. So I think the BJP must understand that if JP Nadda says that there is no place for any regional party or party except the BJP, this kind of arrogance in a country like India is bound to create reactions in other parties.
Okay, Guru Paswan, you heard from Pavan Verma, and that has been really the view that I have picked up from multiple sources in the JDU, that BJP in many ways was humiliating Nitish Kumar. If despite of being in alliance, Nitish Kumar has managed to create this victim image, what does it do for the BJP going ahead on the streets when you will question and you say that Nitish has betrayed? If anything, Nitish has managed to communicate that he has been made a victim and he was being humiliated in this alliance.
Maria, if you can allow me to respond to Mr. Pavan Verma. He gave a long speech about social harmony and about how communal the Bharatiya Janata Party is. If speaking about the Pasmandas is communal, we are communal. If removing triple talaq is communal, we are communal. Who is communal? The people of Uttar Pradesh have resoundingly said in the polls of Rampur and Azamgarh, in the entire discourse in the Uttar Pradesh, when we were talking about Ganna, who was talking about Jinnah? So we don't need any lessons on social harmony from someone who has defected so many parties. Point number one. Point number two, as far as Nitish Kumar is concerned, if today we have so many, remember Maria, it's a day of social media, it's an age of social media. You just need to scroll through the Twitter timeline and you would get all the reality. Bhishma Pitama of corruption, मिट्टी में मिल जाएंगे, इनके साथ नहीं जाएंगे. What is all this? The youngsters of Bihar are going to ask this question. It is not the Bihar of 1990s, it is not the Bihar of 1995. Neither it's India of 1990s and 1995. Tejasvi Yadav is trying to evolve. Rahul Gandhi has been evolving since 2004. It is not going to work. And let me put this very straight on your show tonight. Never did JP, 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Never did JP Nadda ji said that regional parties would disappear. He said family-based political parties based on one individual, political parties that thrive on the idea of corruption will no longer exist in the Indian political landscape, not about the regional parties.
Okay, Gurdeep.
Maria, I have been listening to what Mr. Guru Prakash was saying and earlier Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad said. Not one line on what led to the fall of the government. Not one line. BJP is so arrogant that even on this day when they lose a government, and this government has not been lost to horse trading, as you yourself pointed out in the beginning. This is a political realignment, not a one line of introspection what went wrong. And this is precisely what is being opposed by Mr. Nitish Kumar today, and this is precisely what we have been cautioning the country, that here is a party which does not believe in any introspection. Here is a party which just tries to steamroll. Mr. Guru Prakash earlier said about mandate. Mr. Guru Prakash, what was the mandate in Goa, in Karnataka, in Madhya Pradesh, in Manipur, and so many other states? Today, when you lose a government, you only say,
what was the mandate?
He is not,
you are talking about introspection. No, you are talking about introspection. Sir, Congress party has been introspecting since the last 8 years. You have no authority to speak on introspection.
Sorry.
The Congress party has been introspecting since the last 8 years, sir. There is no point. There is no point in doing this. There is no point in doing this. When the senior leadership of the Congress party is asking you to introspect, you are not introspecting. How many seats do you have in Bihar? You contested on 70 seats. You won 10. What a strike rate, sir. It's 100% strike rate. There is zero existence of Congress party in Bihar. Congress party has zero existence in Bihar. Zero organization in Bihar. Zero cadre in Bihar. Name one leader from the Congress party. This is such a pointless debate. This is such a pointless debate. When Congress party is talking about social harmony, you are lecturing us. You are lecturing us. You are lecturing us when there is not a single. You are not able to find a president. You are not able to find a president in your party.
I want to understand from you, Gurdeep Sappal, I want to understand from you, what is Nitish Kumar's future in national politics? Since he has made his ambitions pretty open now. So that is also a big takeaway of today.
No. Maria, today is a day when a new government is being formed in Bihar. I think today it's a day when BJP has lost a government in Bihar. Today, the government of Bihar in next 2 years will decide the alternate polity in Bihar, and that will pave the way for future politics. As far as Congress party is concerned, I can tell you very much. We are fighting against the tyranny of this BJP government. We are fighting against the policies of this BJP government. And for last several years, the only one leader who has stood up to BJP government on every occasion is Rahul Gandhi and Congress party, and that is the future of the politics in this country in next few years.
All right. I've really come to the end of this discussion. I would like to thank all my guests who have joined me on this discussion. Pawan Verma, Guru Paswan, Gurdeep Sappal, Neerja Chaudhary, Khalid Anwar, Manisha Priyam and Chandrachur Singh. On that note, we are slipping into a short break. Coming up would be a story on this entire power play between China and Taiwan. Even as China conducts a new round of large-scale military exercises around Taiwan following U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's controversial visit, Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu, in an exclusive conversation with CNN, has said Taiwan is not scared of Chinese threats. That report right after a short break. Stay tuned.